Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about the simple hack using which you can actually calculate a square root. And before we begin, and I'll tell you this method which is very simple. Tell me if you are scared of calculating square roots in your school and colleges, and did it give you sleepless nights? Did you give you horror? um, I personally believe that if you had known about this method, then probably your fear of square roots may be slightly less. So let us begin with this very simple method which will help you calculate square root. I must tell you that this method will not be suitable for scoring, but then you will be able to quickly calculate within 1 second or maybe 2 seconds the square root of any number. So let's begin our hack. And to start with, I will actually show you a table of squares. As you can see, this table of square is visible. This is a table that we will be using in our method today. So this is a very simple thing. It is basically showing the square of all the numbers. So there is a square of 2, 4, 7, etc. So the square of each number is listed here, and this is very simple. Just remember to refer this several times during this video, and also when you start doing practice. All right, let's begin and let's look at what is the first number. So first number, for the sake of calculation, let's find out a difficult number which is not like 2, square root of 2 or square root of 4. No, let's look at 729. So can you easily find the square root of 729? Let's find out. So what we got to do is we need to split the number into two segments. Let's look at 9, which is the number, the last digit of this number, which is number 9. So what this number 9 shows us? This number 9 shows us that the last digit of the square root will be either 3 or 7, because the 9 number, or as per our initial table that we started with, the 9 is the square of 3 and 49 is a square of 7. Therefore the square root, last digit of the square root of 729 will be either 3 or 7. So that is the first hint that you can get. Let's move on. So the 3 or 7 will be the last digit. Let's proceed and calculate this further. So now let's strike the 29, the last two digit of the 729, and let's focus on 7, because we've already got a range of the last digit of the square root. Let's now focus on number 7. So 7 falls between square root of 2 and 3, squares of 2 and 3. So 7 is a large number, and if you see that the square of 2 is 4 and square of 3 is 9. So 7 is in between. That means so it falls between the 2 or 3, which is 4 or 9. So what happens? So let's look at the smaller number, which is 2, because 9 is much bigger than 7. So logically 2 will be the first digit of the answer, which is 2. So just by, without any calculations, just by looking at the number itself, we are now determining which is the last number and which is the first number. So let's say we got two choices for the last number, but for the first number, we got one choice, which is 2. So what will happen now? So the square root of 729 will be either 23 or 27. Either 23 or 27, because 3 or 7 were the expected number and 2 is the first digit of the square root. So which one of these 23 and 27 will be the answer? Let's now figure this out. So let us multiply 2, because the first digit of number 2 was first was the number 2. So what we need to do is we need to take one number higher than 2 and multiply 2 with that. So in this case it is 3. So 2 into 3 is equal to 6. So If it is 6, which is smaller than 7, since 6 is smaller than 7, then in that case we have to choose the higher number. The previous two choices we got 23 and 27. We now have to take the higher number because the aggregate of 2 and 3 is smaller than 7. So in this case, the first digit is 7. Therefore, 27 is the square root of this number. So square root of 729 is 27. So, if you start looking at these numbers, you will be able to practice enough mentally and you will be able to figure out what is the square root of each number. So this is one method. Now let's practice further and let's look at another number, much difficult number, much more difficult than what we have seen so far. So let's find out the square root of 11,025. Fairly large number and it's going to give you shivers, but we will use the same method to find out the square root of 11,025. Okay, so let's repeat the process. Let's focus on the last number, which is first table, and as per the table of the squares, the last digit will be 5 because 5 into 5 is 25, and if you see this carefully, logically, the 5 will be the last digit of the square root. So we got the last number of the square root. Let's now look at the first number, first couple of numbers. All right, let's proceed further. Last number for the square root of 11,025 will be 5. And now strike off 25 and let's focus on 110, which is the first three letters, first three digits of this huge number. So what will happen to 110? Now if you look at the table, the square table that we started with, 10 into 10 is 100 and 11 into 11 is 121. So 110 falls between 100 and 121. That means square of 10 and 11, right? So the first digit, the lower one, will be 10. Logically, 10 will be the first digit of the square root. So in this case, since we do not have choices in the last digit like the previous one, in this one it's very straightforward because the last digit was 5, the first digit of the number is 10, and therefore square root of 11,025 is 105. You see how simple it is. So if you practice looking at this number within like 1 second, you will be able to find out the square root. All right. So this is as simple. Just follow the logical process and just look at the number and just make assessment, and then voila, you will be having square root in your hand. All right. Now let's look at one more time. All right. A difficult number again. I'm not going with smaller number, I'm going with larger numbers. So let's look at 961. 961 is a very difficult number, and to find out square root, maybe it looks very tough. Now let's follow the process and see if we can find the square root quickly by following the same process. Okay. Look at the table of squares of all the numbers. And let's look at number 1. Now logically, if you look at it, 1, that means the last digit of the square root will be either 1 or 9 because of the obvious reasons, as I've underlined the reason for that. Either it will be 1 or 9. All right. So we know the last digit will be either 1 or 9. Right. So let's proceed further. At least we got two options in 1 and 9. Now we need to figure out the first digit of the square root, and let's follow the same process. Strike off 61 and let's focus on 9. Last two digits let's strike off. Let's focus on 9 only. And 9 is the square of 3. Square of 3. You see, 9 is a complete square of 3. That means 3 will be the first digit. So for sure 3 will be the first digit. There is no ambiguity here. However, there is still ambiguity with regard to the last digit because we have two options. So we will actually figure out which one is the right one. So as of now, we know that there will be we have two options, 31 or 39. 31, either 31 or 39 will be the square root of 961. So let's figure it out now. Let's proceed with the same process that we have done in the first example. We know that 3 is the number. Let's multiply 3 with one higher number. In this case, it's 4, and 3 into 4 is 12, which is much higher than 4. So this time, since first digit of the square root, we will actually go with the lower option. Now in this case, it will be 31. 31, because this time the 3 into 4, which is the next digit, one number higher than 3, multiplication of that is higher than the actual number. So in this case, we will go for 31. So now we know exactly the square root of 961 is 31. Alright, so this is the way you can actually, if you practice more on this method, you will be able to figure out the square root of any number. Within seconds, you will be able to find out. Alright, and this is very simple, and you don't need to do any calculation. So if you look at any number, you will be able to determine the square root of that number. Again, I will like to give a disclaimer that this process will only help you calculate square roots of any number within seconds, but it will not be useful for examinations. Because you get score for your steps. Therefore, please follow the steps which you are learning in school, because those will directly convert your answer sheet into marks. So friends, thanks for watching me live. If you have any question regarding this, please revert and I will get back to you, solve the problem that you have. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one.